Well, good evening on a Thursday. Hope you had a great day. What if you like non-hot weather? What an amazing stretch of August weather, right? We had 43 100ths of an inch of rain that came down. Yeah, yesterday for the calendar day in Portland. Not a record for the date, but a really good August soak. There was basically, on average, about 2/10 to a quarter of an inch of rain around much of the Portland metro and up through Southwest Washington. Far less when you got near to south of Wilsonville, where areas only picked up like Salem a little bit more than a trace. And then we follow that today with a high temperature that looks like it's going to be in the low 70s. And our August is easily running a full 3 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. So I guess we're due for some hot weather, and that's the main focus I'm talking about as we eye this coming Sunday and Monday. So here's the very latest as of early this evening on this Thursday. This is the European model, the Sunday heat ridge, we'll call it, 597 pressure height. Notice this is not coming up from the desert southwest. It's actually developing out in the Pacific, and then we're kind of getting on the forward side of this hot weather. This is Monday's map, same model, the European, showing the 90s up and down the Willamette Valley, mid 80s up in Seattle, 100-degree plus temperatures up in the Columbia Basin. There's some question as to whether Sunday is going to be the hotter day or Monday. Pardon me, I'm scratching my nose. And I'll show you a couple of different models as we get going. All of this brought to you by the Momentous Wealth Podcast. Listen on Apple Podcasts, listen on Spotify. Choose from a variety of investment topics meant to educate you. Okay, we thank them from a local firm, Momentous Wealth Management. Okay. Real quick, sky cameras, fun to look at. This is my 19 camera network that I helped orchestrate and put together. It's part of my weather site, portlandweather.com. There's Tillamook Head, bright sunshine up in Gearhart, over Seaside, clear down in Depot Bay from the Channel House to Gorgeous Head, good sunshine. More sun in the Willamette Valley than we've seen up in Southwest Washington. In fact, once you get out on the east side too, some cloudiness. Persimmon Country Club Camas is about the same. There's Lewis River up in Southwest Washington. There's along the Columbia River. Um, there's beautiful sunshine again at the end of the Otter Crest out in the gorge. This is fun. This is the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. Some big event going on in their amphitheater. Look at all the people there. I have no idea, but partly cloudy skies in Oregon City. Okay. We will see more sunshine and earlier sun tomorrow on Friday than we saw today. I think no matter where you are. I want to show you the satellite picture. We're all dry in Oregon, and for the most part, a little bit of shower activity up in Northeast Washington, but most of Washington State is dry as well. Look how clear it is when you get out, say, to Hood River, and there's the Dalles right there. Here are areas east of the Cascades, all clear. Here's the scattered kind of flat stratocumulus clouds that have been popping here on the west side. Look how the coast, though, is clear right there. That's a visible satellite picture. And right here, if we scroll down, this is the updated 500 millibar flow pattern at 18,000 feet, 594 high. This is that high ridge setting up in the Pacific that's going to build northward and then push a little bit closer inland and get us into the warm to hot weather as we approach into the weekend. By the way, yeah, lightning strikes up in Washington today. A lot of lightning in Idaho, but our forecast is going bone dry for the next several days. Certainly here in Oregon, and I believe up in Washington as well. National Weather Service Extreme Heat Watch is what they're calling it. This at some point maybe um, updated to say heat advisory as we get closer. But this is for Sunday afternoon through Monday. And here's the map. You can see it's up and down I-5, including Southwest Washington up into the Kelso Longview area, in the gorge out through Hood River, but not the Dalles. Again, this is the heat Sunday, Monday that we have been talking about. And let's see here. Preparations, stay hydrated. Don't leave people or animals in vehicles. Take frequent breaks from the heat if the heat tends to bother you. And even if it doesn't bother you, you need to stay hydrated. A hat's always best. Of course, sunscreen, all of that. Be aware of cold water shock if you're enjoying our waterways. Wear a life jacket when swimming in local rivers and lakes. And a reminder that the Weather Service, it's not here now. The Weather Service also has a warning up for low water areas, especially during low tide through this coming Monday for the Willamette and for the Columbia Rivers in the Portland metro area. They're saying that There will be unusually shallow spots. So pleasure boaters need to be extra cautious of what the water levels are when you're boating tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, into Monday on the Willamette and on the Columbia. FYI on that. A lot of people will be out hitting the rivers for sure as the temperatures warm up. Okay, this is the European. This is the fairly new model that's got AI kind of factored into it, which is certainly going to be the next or is the next level of weather modeling. And we're still at the AI is not brilliant right from the get-go. I think it's a fair statement that it has to learn. The programmers that ultimately develop these models have to learn and tweak as well. But this is this afternoon. Here's that cold low that produced yesterday's rain showers, produced the high temperatures only in the 70s today. And then as I play this into Friday, we're seeing this ridging. Here's Friday afternoon. You see the ridging starting to build. The low moves over into Montana and Wyoming. And then the ridging continues to strengthen and build into us. And by Sunday afternoon, we're up into the 90s. And that's a 600 millibar center high pressure system, which we talked the other day is very strong. It's out in the Pacific. It's not right on top of us. It's not coming up in the desert Southwest, which would be an even hotter scenario for us. But it is building in off the Pacific waters. And the fact that the pressure heights are so strong, it will produce compressive heating and it will produce at least a couple of days of hot weather. Now, so this is Sunday. Notice the highs right here. Here's Portland. Now let's see where this high goes on Monday. You see how it actually backs off a little bit. Still a 600 high, but it backs off a little bit. We're watching this low up here. And that's one reason why it's tough to tell. Is Sunday going to be hotter or Monday? Are they both going to be within a degree or two of the same? Could be. Watch this low up here. This is going into Tuesday. See this low coming down? Uh, this high, which slightly weakens, definitely on Tuesday pushes farther out. This low starts to come down. So the heat ridge flattens. We'll lose the extreme heat, but still be a warm day. And maybe, I mean, some of the modeling is saying Tuesday could hit 90. I've got Portland down to 86, but that's certainly not a slam dunk forecast either way. And then as we go into Wednesday, watch the low. Now we're into the contours of the troughing. Here's Thursday, definitely in the contours of the troughing. There may, in fact, be a shower chance introduced at some point into next Wednesday and Thursday. Just something I'm monitoring, not right now, but I'm monitoring to see if something looks like it will develop that could give us some showers. But this is certainly cooling that potentially takes us back down into the 70s for a couple of days. This is Friday of next week. We're still relatively cool. Look at this, almost an invigorated trough coming in Saturday the 16th. That could produce a shower chance. There it is, upper level disturbance right here where you see the dark blue. This is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. This is Sunday the 17th. Could be a shower. Highs only in the 70s, maybe. Then there's another low that kind of hangs out. And then this is Tuesday the 19th. Upper level highs back here over West Texas. Here's the hot weather in New Mexico and up into Colorado. And then what happens? Well, this troughing just kind of hangs out over our area. It looks like this low is trying, or this high, pardon me, is trying to come in. But who knows if this is correct? But if it is, once we get past the 90-degree threat this coming Sunday, Monday, maybe Tuesday, this doesn't show any more hot weather, at least to the 21st of the month. And by the way, see this back here? I want to back up. I'm just going to swing it. There it is. This is a tropical system. If you just look at this, I'm going to make the assumption this is the European tracking a hurricane that comes over Cuba. That is on Tuesday, the 19th, comes into the Gulf of Mexico on the 20th of August. Look at that, bears down into the Florida Panhandle. This would have massive impacts on places like Tampa Bay. This would be Thursday, the 21st of August, and then it moves up and weekends through the heart of the Gulf Coast and heads up toward Tennessee and Kentucky. Obviously, this is only one model and it's way out, but I'm sure they're talking about this already in Florida and the Gulf Coast states on their local weather, potential for a hurricane. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's been a really quiet, as you know, hurricane season so far, certainly here in the lower 48 states. All right. Let's take a look at two models. This is the European ensemble model. So it doesn't have AI in it. It's the old kind of European model, if you will, shows temperatures up to around 80 degrees, or maybe even struggling to hit 80 in Portland tomorrow. Low 80s down in Salem, mid 70s up in Seattle. Really comfortable weather everywhere. Now we're going to go into Saturday. Here comes the warm up. Low 80s, maybe mid 80s. It shows primarily low 80s up and down the Willamette Valley, 92 down in Medford, upper 70s in Seattle, 90s out in the Columbia Basin. Now, here's the first day that we're concerned about in terms of the hot weather. Mid 80s up in Seattle, but near 90 to 93 to 94 around Portland, or to 96 to 95 in Salem. 90, mid 90s down in Eugene, 102 down in Medford, 99 out in the Columbia Basin. And then remember, which day's hotter, Sunday or Monday? Well, this European model is back to showing Monday's hotter. It shows Monday 95, 94, 97, 98, 98, 101 out in Yamhill County. So back to thinking, could there be a 100-degree temperature? 104 down in Medford, 100's out in the Columbia Basin. And then what does this show Tuesday? And then Tuesday, not as hot, but still upper 80s to some 90s in the Willamette Valley, 103, 104, 105 out in the Columbia Basin, still 98 down in Medford. So that's the European model. So let's click on the American GFS model. Same thing tomorrow, right around 80 or a little bit warmer. Here's Saturday in the 80s, but nothing, really uncomfortable. Here's Sunday, 93, 94, 95 between Portland and Salem, 87 Seattle. And then here is Monday. Yeah, likes Monday being hotter, 95, 97. So, and 101 out in the Columbia Basin, 100 down Medford. It's interesting because the models that came in last night supported Sunday being at least mid 90s and maybe upper 90s for Portland, but they definitely showed Monday not being that hot. And then they definitely showed us cooling in the 80s on Tuesday. Now the models that have come out this afternoon have started to re-ante up on the heat, 2 or 3 days potentially. So clearly, here we are Thursday evening, and the forecast is not set in stone yet in terms of what the actual temperature is going to be. But I would say it's a certainty that we're in the 90s and it's hot on Sunday. We're in the 90s and it's hot on Monday, or hotter, and still at least pretty warm on Tuesday. So with all of that said and the uncertainty mentioned, let's go around the horn. Medford 88 right now, 98 Saturday, 106 Sunday, 105 Monday, 100 Tuesday. Pretty good little heat wave down in Medford over the weekend. Here is Pendleton. What we got? 83 tomorrow, then warming up. 95 Sunday, 97 Monday, and then cooling down on Tuesday, 91. Okay. That's not bad, right? That's not horrible for Medford. Here is Seattle. 76 tomorrow, warmer weekend, 82, 83, and then cooling down on Tuesday. Pretty nice, really. Really pretty nice. Here's Bend. 84 Friday, hot weekend, 94 Sunday, 96 Monday, and then cooling down a little bit on Tuesday and Wednesday. Hot weekend over in Bend. How about Salem? 84 tomorrow, and then 90 on Saturday is a possibility in parts of the Willamette Valley, and then pushing 100 on Sunday. This from the Weather Service shows, well, not as hot on Monday, but ultimately these temperatures are still, we're not sure yet. And then cooling down on Tuesday to 88. Okay. What about Astoria? 72 this weekend on Saturday. A sunny, this is a bit of an east flow, so this could be correct. There could be temperatures nearing 80 at the beach with clear skies on Sunday. And then this still shows well up in the 70s on Monday. So that's a nice, beautiful, if you like warm, sunny weather at the beach, Sunday is your day here along the North Oregon coast. North Bend, let's see here, 68, Saturday, 71 Sunday. So not as warm as the North Coast. And with that said, and I fully expect, as you look at my 7-day, that I'm going to have to do some rewriting or adjusting of temperatures. But for right now, this is my best call. 82 tomorrow in Portland. Any early clouds quickly becoming mostly sunny. Brought to you by Hazeldale Tire Pros up here off of the I-5 side of Clark County in Hazeldale, Highway 99. Saturday, 86, still in the 80s. Sunday, 96, maybe 97. Monday, right now I've got 94, but let's say I adjust this and it goes Sunday 97 and Monday 96 or somewhere in there. And then Tuesday could be 90, but I'm still feeling like most models show us dropping into the 80s, 86, with cool air dropping down out of Canada Wednesday afternoon. That lowers us to Wednesday, 81, with partly cloudy skies. Maybe a shower threat at some point enters the forecast. Ditto those comments on Thursday with a temperature of 77. All right. I'm Rod Hill. Hope you found my videos interesting and useful, most importantly. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. You will be notified when I post. It helps me out too. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.